this week's episode of Down the Line TV. I'm Sarah Stone, co-hosting alongside Beti Sekulovski. COVID-19 has been difficult for all of us, particularly tough for those of us who are here in Melbourne. But this week it gave us the chance to talk to two WTA Tour players, Daria Gavrilova and Alana Parnaby, about the player journey.
Today we've got a great show ahead of us with a pretty special guest in Daria Gavrilova. Dasha, welcome.
Here she is.
I thought you needed some claps in your intro, so I improvised. But yeah, thank you for having me.
I wanted to ask you, how's your weekend going?
Yeah, not too bad. I was able to train this morning, so that was good. Yeah, nothing special, to be honest. But I'm very grateful that we are able to train.
Yeah, pretty lucky. The Melbourne lockdown's a bit of a grind, but one of the best things about Melbourne lockdown coming home to Australia is I get to spend a lot of time on Instagram, and that means I get to spend a lot of time observing your life from a distance. You're a phenomenal TikToker and dog trainer. More the dog trainer, I wanted to ask you, is this a Russian skill? Because Vasilisa Bardina trained my dog, which I cannot train. Is it in the blood, or who taught you how to do that?
No, I just watched YouTube videos.
Really?
I just wanted him to do like cool tricks, but he probably still has behavior issues. So he's a cutie on the camera, but well, for starters, he sleeps in bed with us.
Ooh.
And there's no way of him, like, he's not getting out of the bed. That's it. So whenever we'll get someone to look after him, they will have to have him in bed.
Yeah, that's a tough one.
He's very soft, so he's very cuddly. He literally sleeps on me, and sometimes he'll want his space, but then like towards the morning he will try and cuddle up to me, and he gets up early, like 6:30. So it's like a child. Maybe not. I'm sorry to all the moms. It's not. I'm sorry.
Dasha, I want to know who's inspiring some of those TikTok videos, by the way. There's a bit of a competition going on the WTA, on Instagram, and there's all sorts of posts going on. Like, yours seem to be a ripper. Like, where are you getting these inspirational ideas from?
Well, they're not very inspirational. You literally just copy everyone on TikTok. I don't come up with this. Well, some stuff like I do randomly, but if you've created it, if you would have had a TikTok app, which I think you don't.
I had it and deleted it, being the good half American that I am. So the other Dasha, the other half of the Dashers is quite invested in the exposing or branding Technofiber. She's done a great job, which brings us to our first question about the differences for you between growing up, obviously in Russia, and then moving to this amazing country, both amazing countries, by the way. What are the big differences you've noticed between the training environments?
Oh, training environments. Oh, well, first one is Australians are way more positive.
Ah.
Looking at positives more often than probably like Eastern Europeans.
Mm-hmm.
I'd say that's the main thing. Like I don't want to say like someone works harder than the others. It's all individual, but that's the main thing, that Australians are a lot more positive, and like Eastern Europeans are just probably focus a little bit too much on like the negative. Like if you go through a match, it's like you talk about more what you've done wrong.
We're really positive over here. We know that culture and I guess that sort of sense of life over here. But how much of it do you feel that we could introduce any of that Russian mentality into the Australian mentality, or think it would be a disaster?
I think it's individual. Like it comes down to maybe like coach and player relationship. I I prefer when it's just like honest and like
Not
just
too
tell
much
you
fluff.
no, not too much stuff. Yeah, that the coach just tell you how it is.
Yeah.
And yeah, I've had that because I'm pretty honest. I kind of just say, hey, like, just be honest. Just tell me, I can take it. I don't care.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting actually, the way that things are different when you speak about that positive environment. I do remember when I was working with Vasilisa that she would say, why aren't you yelling at me? And she'd obviously had a really tough experience with her dad, who was pretty savage and used to beat her up quite often. And it was difficult for her to hear that really positive reinforcement and focusing on those positives. I know, Nicole Pratt, and you have a great relationship and have done wonderful things together in your coaching relationship. When she brought that kind of positive stuff, was that an initial adjustment? And what kind of coaching style did she have with you, or does she still have with you?
Well, I kind of joked sometimes. She's like, oh, it was a great shot, Dasha. And I'm like, well, unfortunately, I don't get like half a point for a great shot. It's still love 30. It's not like
True.
I don't get points for but I was always joking about it. But like it took me a while probably to get used to it. I just really enjoy like just getting better working on things and not focusing so much on the outcome, because I think also like coming from Russian background, we do focus a lot on the outcomes, like winning ugly and stuff like that. There's no like it's not nice to win ugly.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, sometimes you have to, okay, like win ugly sometimes, a lot of the times, but you still like want to improve.
It's not that enjoyable. I mean, you get the win, but the process of it's not amazing.
No, but if you can get through the some ugly matches, like hoping that, okay, well, I've got another one to get better. So if you look at it this way, then it's not too bad.
I know that I didn't feel good when I won ugly. We come from a country where our technique, we look really good. I think globally, a lot of people say Australians have a great technique, and yeah, we do. We look awesome. And we find, I think there's a lot of conversations we've had with juniors where they struggle to win at all costs in terms of like they don't know how to win ugly or compete. You are one of the best competitors out there. I always know that as soon as you play points, I love watching you play because you're just brilliant. But any advice for our juniors, Dash?
I think what like a lot of European players get away with sometimes maybe like really bad technique, like huge swings, and they just get away with it because they actually hit that many balls. Like if you hit the same shot with maybe a bad swing, you're still gonna get better at it. And also in like Eastern Europe, like when I grew up in Russia, I actually didn't have too many individuals until I probably came to Patrick's academy, to Muratoglu Academy, when it was still outside Paris. I played a lot of points, and we just always played competitive games. And like in summer, we had really long training sessions, like a bit of training where it's structured by a coach, where we do drills that she would tell us to do, and then we would go and play single sets, and then we would play doubles forever because we just loved it. And I guess we had like limited courts, so if you're not winning, you're staying in the line waiting for your turn. So I guess that's where it comes from.
There's a lot of tough competitors out there that perhaps people don't know, like a Sigmund or someone like that. What about for you? Who's the toughest competitor or opponent that you've faced, and why? The
first person that came up right now, maybe because I read about her just then, because Svitolina, out of US Open, but she was the first one that came in my mind because she just fights like no other since she was a junior, because like under 12s, under 14s, we played similar, like same tournaments, and she wasn't like doing maybe as well, or she wasn't doing as well as maybe I was, but she's improved so much. And she like, I don't think I've ever played her when we were little. I can't remember, but I just always remember that like this girl was always fighting.
Dash, I guess you're pretty fortunate to grow up with competitors like Svitolina, and I'm sure many others that we're currently seeing on the tour now. Looking at that, looking at your training volume, I'm always interested in this because I work with juniors. Where does that compare with some of the juniors we have at the moment in terms of, I know it's individual, the training element of it, but how many hours, what would a typical day look like for you growing up as a 14, 15-year-old in Moratoglu's academy and when you were number one in the world as a junior?
Well, yeah, when I moved to France to train there, everything was a lot more structured than like Russia and than what I've had before. And it was probably like the first time I started really doing fitness when I came to Patrick's academy when I was 15. And yeah, we probably did like, we actually had like long training days. So I would probably start at around, actually I kind of always had to do cardio before breakfast, just like slow cardio. Unfortunately, I had to do that.
Player's dream.
Yeah, so basically, let's skip the cardio. In Moratoglu, we would have our first training session at around like 10 in the morning or 9. And I would normally do like a bit of fitness / warm up, and it would always be like in a group with other players, and then we would go on court. I had my individual coach, Silva Matias. He was amazing, love him. Yeah, I probably would do like 2 hours on the court, sometimes with a hitting partner, sometimes with another player, sometimes it'd be 3 of us. And I was more like in the individual section. There were other players that were doing squats, but I had my own coach, so we could basically do whatever I needed to do. And then we would have lunch, and then I'd have another tennis session, not as long, and then like a proper gym. So that would be like Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, and Wednesday and Thursday I probably did like a shorter session. We always did actually on court conditioning on the days, on those like resting days. So yeah, basically, I don't know, like 5, 6 hours. Yeah.
Dash, being number one junior in the world comes with a lot of pressure going into the professional ranks, and you've certainly from the outside dealt with it pretty well because you've had a fantastic career. You did get that severe knee injury just right at that crest when you're doing so well. How are you able to navigate that so well and continue to have a great career in the pros?
Yeah, so after finishing number one juniors, I kind of kept on playing juniors because actually Russian Federation, they just wanted me to keep playing it. But I always looked at other players like Laura Robson and even another Russian player, Irina Kromacheva. They played futures 25s and got their rankings up, and they were able to play qualifying of slams, and I was still so far behind. So then we decided to start playing more futures, and then I got so close to being like almost, I was fighting for the spot in main draw for Australian Open. I was maybe 120 at the end of 2013 or 12, can't remember. And I went to play the Asian swing, Japan and China, and yeah, unfortunately I busted my knee there. I've spent a lot of time in Australia by that time, and I was actually waiting for my residency. to come to Australia. So I came to Australia with a busted knee. Best
Very glad you
I've ever
came. Very glad you came.
Best decision I've ever made. I had the surgery in Melbourne, so I was lucky to have that here. Best, like, no
Oh,
DY
doubt.
takes a bit of credit for your career, you know.
Yeah, I know he does.
Dasha, I wanted to ask you, when you made the 4th round of the Australian Open, what was the big turning point for you at that point? Because you sort of went on this really great, you had a great year. Also know that, you won your first maiden, I think, WTA title. I don't know, 2017, I think you won New Haven tournament.
Yeah.
That was awesome. Yeah, what propelled that? What was the turning point for you that year?
Who knows?
A leprechaun.
I mean, I think I was very consistent, like, since the surgery. I probably don't give myself that much credit, but I actually did, like, do all the right things and worked really hard. I think I was lucky to have great coaches. I had best success with female coaches, right?
Yeah. Putting it out there.
I had my breakthrough in 2016 Oz Open, and then I actually looked back at my rankings like few weeks ago, and I was like, oh my god, that's pretty damn good, like top 10, 3 years in a row or something.
That's unreal.
I was like,
oh, amazing.
So maybe 2, but like really close the year before. I was like, I need to give myself like credit, like I've done well.
You've done extraordinarily well.
So but I think just having trust in my team and like really good relationship. I've done really great with Nicole, and Craig Tyser was in the team during AO 2016, and then I had Biljana working with me in 2017. Pratty was she's kind of always there for me, here for me. She's a mentor for me. No matter what coach I'll have, I'll still come back to her and ask her opinion. So every time I would talk to a coach, I'd be like, yeah, well, I'm gonna ask Nicole about that one. So I think the main thing is like having a team and having trust.
It's really interesting message that came through there, Dash, that it was never a breakthrough moment. It just happened. But that's the thing. The breakthrough moment, you might recognize that, but there's so much that goes into it, all that work along the journey, and you just have to know that it'll happen when it's going to happen, and that's all you can do is give it everything you've got. And it's great to hear you say that, because a lot of people are looking for this moment, that the moment might just be all along and you're just going along and you're doing great. And with that, such a successful career, and it's great you can recognize that. What goals do you have left in your playing journey? I mean, that playing journey might be 15 years, it might be 5, 1, who knows, but what have you got?
Well, I still I love tennis. So I play probably because I just love competing. I actually love being a tennis player. I love traveling. It's going to be a bit shitty now.
Pretty much, it's pretty shitty.
I'm a bit down about the art. I was like, oh my God, like, what on earth? But I think that's everyone, so I can't complain about it. It's going to be different. I was meant to play the week off. Everything was cancelled, and I was like ready to go. I was like, oh my God, that's it. Yeah. I'm back. Yeah. And I want to win again. I want to play Grand Slams and give myself the best chances to maybe even win it one day. I know like some people maybe just are like, okay, what is she talking about? But I think we're playing in the era that's like everything's possible.
For sure.
If we go back like 10 years ago, that didn't happen. 20 years ago, that didn't happen. Like, there were players that were just dominating. That's not the case now.
Yeah.
Like Kim Clijsters is back. She's probably like, well, I can do it.
I think that's what she was. Well, like, I think I can do it.
She was actually just hitting with us, with all other players. I haven't had a chance to hit with her, but I think she was like, oh my God, my level is like as good as theirs. I'm coming back. And she probably wasn't even training this much. Like, he was probably just like, oh yeah, I'll hit with you. And then, yeah, she's back. Maybe Jennifer Capriati is going to come back.
She does still hit, actually. She still hits at Saddlebrook a couple times a week. But I think Kim was hitting, not a lot, but she was doing a decent amount of, but she's one of those only a few in a lifetime kind of players. She's extraordinary. And like you, she's an unbelievable competitor. So I think if you've got that in you, that definitely is an advantage, and not that many people have it.
Yeah. So yeah, we were talking about it with Prati actually, about the Euros, and like anything's possible right now.
Yeah.
So.
Well, Dasha, on that note, I just really want to wrap it up with the fact that you let us into your world and how you've developed as a player. And I think I didn't actually know a lot of that stuff, and it's kind of been great to get to know you a little bit better. And also just the passion you're talking. It's nice to hear you got the fire back in the belly. You're ready to go. It's going to be an awesome, I think, whatever happens this year, you're going to be ready to hit the ground running next year either way. And I wish you, and I'm sure we wish you, all the very best in the near future. And
go get it, Dash. Go get that slam, girl.
Thank you.
My favourite people, Sarah, and I think it's one of your favourite people as well. But welcome, Alana Parnaby.
Hey guys, thanks for having me.
Alana, thanks so much for being with us today. And I'm going to give a little short introduction, but I've known you for the last, I'd imagine probably 7 years. I think I played you in doubles at one point at a grass court event, actually. But you've always been a great team player, and you're currently 608 in the world, I think, in singles, and 409 in doubles, reaching your highest rankings this year. How do you feel about that?
Yeah, I mean, I guess, we have gone back a few years, Beti. I think it was Wodonga maybe on that grass court. It was, I had a really good sort of back end of last year, and just found sort of my rhythm, and did a really long stint in Asia. Had a few good results. So for me, it was really sort of positive going into sort of this year, and then obviously COVID happens, and I guess it puts everything to a halt. But yeah, I'm feeling really positive and really good about where my game's at the moment.
Alana, I have been following your progress, even though I haven't been on tour since I've been living in another country. But congratulations for doing so well and working so hard along the way. It's interesting at 25 that people often think that that's kind of old in tennis, but realistically, now that Venus is 40, it's not at all. Is that something that you've come across?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I guess I got another 15 years then, don't I?
Easy 15.
And to be honest, I thought about this a lot, during COVID, and we've had a lot of reflection, and I just really love the sport, and I love competing, and it's just since day one, I've always just wanted to improve and get better, and it's just that journey, I guess. So yeah, there's definitely a lot of talk of, you're 25 and, you're where you're at, and maybe someone, should be top 100, top 200, whatever it is. I guess there's that pressure. But for me, I always just keep coming back to, why I'm playing the sport, and am I still enjoying it? And are you still on that journey and that, progress towards where you want to be?
Yeah. And Alana, I think that really comes through a lot of the time when I've spent time with you on the court. I know what I'm going to get as a coach. I know that you're consistent in the way you approach your day-to-day training. You're a student of the game. You're always asking questions. I've always enjoyed our conversations around tennis and life. And I know you're studying. Can you just give us a bit of an insight into obviously what you're studying there? And I think it's a really good example of that you can play and study at the same time. So just fill us in on how you've been going with that.
Yeah, so I'm currently studying a Bachelor of Sport Development at Deakin University, and yeah, I've been really lucky that I can do that online, so I can still obviously travel and play, and that's been really good, just to have something on the side of playing and touring, and something to take my mind off things. And, you know, don't get me wrong, it's stressful at times and you've got assignments and things due. But I think it's just really helped me stay sort of grounded and give myself some options off the court. And you know, in the category that I'm studying, like I'm doing a lot of, you know, sport coaching, and it's in kind of, you know, the same area. So I think it's really interesting for me, and yeah, it just helps me reach that balance, I guess.
Alana, as Beti said, you are a true student of the game. What kinds of things have you improved in your game, in your senior level part of your career? Not in the juniors, but once you've been 18, 20 and now on to 25, what have you been able to improve in your game?
Yeah, I think that's a really good question. And I think, like, I look at the player that I am now compared to when I was even 18. It's just that the experience that you get, you know, playing in different environments, different matches, different opponents, traveling on your own. I just feel so much more experienced and I guess able to deal with things that maybe I wouldn't have been able to when I was a bit younger. So I think that has been a real thing, and I guess with that comes my mental side. I've really worked on that, and just kind of rolling with the punches and being able to I feel like I'm a pretty sort of easygoing, happy-go-lucky kind of person, but to just really focus on what I need to, and not let sort of outside things affect what I want to do and what I want to achieve. I think that's been a really big thing that I've noticed, especially in probably the last 2 or 3 years.
Yeah. And where do you see yourself progressing from here on in? I mean, yeah, you said obviously COVID brought things to a halt, but what are some of the things you're currently doing, I guess, in the bigger picture of things? Where would you like to see your tennis heading from here on?
Yeah, I mean, as I said, you know, before, it's always that, I guess, steady path, and looking to achieve the next goal, and always trying to tick those things off. So yeah, obviously this year has kind of been a little bit of a write-off, and I'm looking towards next year. But ideally, you know, next year, like I want to continue the form that I had, and, you know, get into those bigger tournaments and eye off, you know, some of the WTAs and the slams and stuff. And yeah, just keep trying to tick off those boxes. For me, yeah, that's kind of what it's always been about, is just enjoying that journey and keep improving. And I definitely feel like I have sort of seen a lot of that come through, especially in the last sort of 12 months.
So you've likely spent some time around the world. We often take long trips being Aussies, even up to 7 months. Where are some of the training bases that you've spent time at, and what sorts of things have you seen that they do differently around the world as compared to what we do in our training in Australia?
Yeah, I have, definitely travelled a fair bit, and I've always sort of been based in Melbourne. Right now I'm not too far from home at Scoresby Tennis Club. It's about a 5-minute drive from home. So that's been really good, and obviously being able to go into the National Academy in Melbourne to sort of join those girls. And I think that's the biggest thing I found is that environment, and as soon as you step into an academy or a training environment, like you definitely get a feel for, you know, what's going on, and whether, you know, it's positive and reassuring, or, you know, there's a bit of I guess tension, or you just don't feel right. So I think the biggest thing is sort of like just getting amongst those people and creating that really good environment. I think, you know, whether you compare maybe Australia to places like Europe, I definitely think over there you just get exposed to a lot more different ideas and cultures and people. I think they can sort of bring a little bit of that, whereas maybe we're a bit geographically challenged here in Australia, and we don't really get exposed to that. So I think definitely traveling and taking some of those things that maybe you grab from those countries or cultures and sort of add them into your training. And look, it's not, you know, big things. They're not doing massively different drills or things like that, but it's just, different ways, I guess, they go about it, or attitudes or something that you pick up along the way.
Yeah. Who've been your biggest, I guess, mentors or influences so far, Alana, like through your journey, you've continued to improve? Who've been the biggest, I guess, mentors for you along the way?
I think, yeah, firstly, my coach has been a really good influence on me, especially in the last 2 years, or 3 years. I think I've been working with AJ now, and just to have that support and to know that they're going to back you in no matter what. I think it's really important. And I know a lot of people, struggle to finance, coaches and stuff like that. And for me, it's just been, I guess, a really important thing for me to have, to know that someone's in my corner. And yeah, they can sort of just guide you and you have those discussions. So yeah, AJ's been really, really great in that respect. But also too, I mean, just, having the likes of, yourself and Sarah, Beti, just to have, I guess, that contact with. And obviously, Sarah, you're over the other side of the world. And I think it was probably 2 or 3 years ago, I was in chats with you about potentially coming over, and just having that, I guess, friendly face to know and sort of bounce off is really good. So I think it's been good to create, I guess, an environment around that, and especially, having a lot of sort of women involved in tennis, I think has been really good. Early on in my junior career, like I was just surrounded by males, and I wasn't sort of really fazed by that too much. But yeah, especially as I get older, I think it's really important to sort of draw on those sort of mentors that you can just have those conversations and those good relationships with.
Yeah. Let's talk a little bit about AJ. How did you pick AJ to be your coach? Why did you pick AJ to be your coach, and what does he bring to the table?
As I said, I switched to him about 2 or 3 years ago, and I had already had a relationship with him. I was doing some work for him, coaching juniors and stuff. So we kind of already had a little bit of that base to work off, and I saw the things that he was doing, obviously through his coaching and the stuff that he would pass down to me. And it definitely wasn't just, like, this is one coach that I really know and I'm going to go for it. It obviously was looking at other options, but I think when it came down to it, the meeting that I had with him was, really positive. And I think in the last 2 years, I've grown so much and learnt so much. He is, you talk about being a student of the game, like he is very much that. And I think he has really instilled that in me, and trying to always look at, different videos or techniques, or just have those discussions. We're constantly in touch, looking at, this person's doing this, watching WTA matches or going through my matches. He's just been really good at really like fine tuning, I guess, my game. And I guess it's shown in the last 2 years.
Yeah. I'm going to talk about someone we probably all know really well, but who really excites me when I go to tournaments is Lou Fleming. I mean, Lou has been unbelievable for all the girls at these tournaments. I mean, she's a woman of many talents, and
she's electric.
She's doing great things. But I think, we were coming from, I guess, a bit of a culture where there wasn't as much collaboration. And I think over the last, probably especially the last 5 years, I think, Freddie, I think Rowan Fisher, I think Lou has been such a great icebreaker for a lot of these girls who were sort of seen as on the outside a little bit, and have really been brought to coming together and really be one team. I know she spent a lot of time with you, Alana. Can you sort of give us some insight into how she's kind of helped the girls a little bit?
Yeah, 100%. She has, I guess, been a godsend to women's tennis in Australia, and she just brings so much energy to the court and even off the court, and you can just tell that she really loves tennis and really wants to give back, and that's shown. And having her support on the tour, she's been joining sort of the Australian Pro Tour events, and having that, as I touched on before, people sometimes don't have the financials to have coaches and travel and stuff like that, and she just was that person that could step in, and that there could have been 5 or 6 girls playing that day, and she'll make sure that she watches every single one of those girls, and she just doesn't stop. And I think she's been really instrumental in as you said, like sort of creating that environment and cohesion with the girls, and just getting everyone to sort of work together as much as they can. And support each other. I mean, it's such a lonely sport, and yeah, you got to do all you can to find the people and the groups that you can sort of turn on. And yeah, Louise is just, as you said, she just brings so much energy, and yeah, obviously, you know, a wealth of playing knowledge and experience and coaching experience as well. So yeah, she's been really, really good addition.
Yeah. And coaching is so much more than just how do you hit a forehand, where should you hit the forehand, how bad's your backhand. And there's a few coaches, not many around the world, that have that ability that Lou has. I've spoken to quite a few players about what is it about Nick Bollettieri that's so extraordinary. And they would just say that they literally could feel like they could do anything. And that's a trait that Louise has. She is able to pass that on to the player to instill that belief. Are there any moments that you doubted yourself and that Louise was around that you could share with us that just helped you just take a little bit of a step up, put some wind in your sails?
Yeah, I definitely think she is, yeah, it's goes beyond that, yeah, forehands and backhands and all that kind of stuff. And I think, as I said, like Louise just brings so much passion, and you know that she's in your corner no matter what. And in terms of, I guess, specific times, yeah, there's one match actually that comes to mind, and yeah, I was playing in Mildura on the grass courts there, and you know, it's late in the afternoon, and I'm playing this European girl that clearly hasn't played much on grass before, and I, you know, was sort of really just mentally struggling. Like I knew kind of, yeah, she was uncomfortable, and I had to just sort of do what I needed to do, and I was kind of struggling to do that. And Louise just really she's so good to just have at the back of the court and just give you those one-liners and stuff to help you. And I ended up getting through that match. And yeah, I guess again, she brings so much more than just, you know, the tactics, I guess. Oh, and I think as you get better and move up the ranks and playing those bigger matches, it's, you know, everyone can hit a ball, and it's more so about that support and getting you in that right frame of mind to perform, I guess.
Yeah. And I get, Alana, I mean, can you just going back a little bit, I want to sort of know, I haven't really asked you enough of this question. I've always wanted to ask you, I don't know why I didn't, but like growing up as a junior, how much were you playing? Like, what was your path like, I guess, growing up in the juniors? How much, yeah, I mean, you look at how much the juniors are playing now. What was, looking back at your career, I mean, how much was your time spent on the court versus, you know, balancing out other areas of life?
Yeah, I guess wasn't really a standout junior, so to speak, and I didn't pick up a racket until I was 10. So that was sort of when I first started playing, and I got into tournaments when I was sort of about 12, and that was sort of when I was like, oh, you know, I want to take this a little bit more seriously and see where I can go. So yeah, started playing tournaments and training probably a little bit more, let's say, I don't know, 3 times a week when I was at 12 years of age. And again, like it was just that slow build up and constantly trying to tick off the boxes. And I never played a junior ITF event in my, sort of juniors.
Wow.
Yeah, I just, it was more so I was playing the nationals and the junior tournaments. And I think maybe looking back, I could have, I guess it would have just helped fit with that experience. But at the same time, it was just my journey, I guess. And yeah, I was a little bit, I guess, behind the 8 ball and trying to catch up to those girls. And moving on sort of into when I was sort of getting towards 18, that was when I was starting to really look at, okay, what am I going to do? Am I going to go to college? Am I going to travel? And but as I said, I definitely felt as a junior, I was a little bit behind everyone else, but I just never had a doubt in what I wanted to achieve, and I guess always was working to move towards that.
What is it that you love so much about tennis?
That's a really good question. As I said, like, tennis was sort of the last sport that I picked up. I played every sport under the sun as a young kid, and it sort of got to the stage when I was about 13, I was playing netball. Then I'd leave netball and go to athletics on a Saturday morning, and then I'd be playing tennis on a Sunday morning. And it just got to a point where Mum and Dad were like, "Okay, we need a break. It's not you." And to be honest, like, and why I chose tennis, like, no one in my family plays it. And I was actually thinking about this the other day, and I think, to be honest, like, it was just something that, like, having the Australian Open and seeing that on TV, I think that kind of really resonated with me. As I said, I was doing athletics and netball, and maybe I wasn't seeing those on TV as much. But I think tennis, for one, like, it's a life game. You know, I was a member at Kooyong for 8 years, and just seeing, you know, all the oldies down there, and they can hardly walk, but they're still out there having a go. And I think that's really, really encouraging to see. And yeah, it's something that I wish that, you know, when I'm that age, I can still be out there hitting balls. And yeah, it's just, I don't know, it's, I guess, a really unique sport. And, you know, it's not a team sport, it's individual, but you're still working on creating that team around you. And yeah, it's a world sport, and I've been able to travel the world and experience some really cool things. So yeah, I don't know, I just fell in love with the game. And yeah, I'm always looking to interact with it however I can, whether it's watching on TV, playing, coaching, whatever it is.
Yeah, it's awesome. And I have one really important question. I mean, get ready for this, but you know, everyone seems to have this perception of tennis players. Some of them are really robotic, and some are kind of out there. And that's the great part about traveling. I think you meet so many interesting characters. Sarah was definitely a really interesting character for me growing up. Really opposite how I was. Opened my eyes a little bit to socialise with people like that. So, you know, in a world where it is really where people seem to think you're a robot, how do you unwind at tournaments? Like, I find that's always hard, isn't it? Like, you're trying to prepare, you're in a tournament, you're competing against one another. I mean, what are some things that you still manage to do on the road that makes you feel like you're a little more normal? I guess fitting into normal society.
Yeah. To be honest, like, I think that's probably something that I've worked on, and I probably still am trying to work on it in yeah, I guess trying to relax and make sure you are enjoying those moments. Sometimes I feel like, and I think it's a lot of people too, they feel like it's like, okay, I've got to do this, and then I've got to train, and then I've got to stretch, and I've got to eat, and you very much get into this routine, and it can be monotonous sometimes. But for me, yeah, it's trying to find, as I said, you know, like, if I'm studying and I really enjoy doing that, or yeah, it's just, you know, hanging out with your mates, and yeah, as you said, finding those characters that, you know, you really gel with, or you can just have a laugh with. And I think it's something that, yeah, us Aussies can sort of do, and yeah, we just have a laugh with our mates and bring that kind of into it to allow us to switch off. And yeah, you know, tennis is a job, and it's a great job at that, but sometimes you do have to have that balance. So yeah, I think the biggest thing for me has just been finding people to travel with if I can't travel with my coach, to have, you know, those people. Like Alex Canizaro's is a person that comes to mind. Like we traveled last year together, and the year before in Europe, and God, the amount of stories and yeah, situations we got ourselves into, just yeah, it kind of makes it a little bit more enjoyable.
Yeah,
Alana,
I mean, we've got
go on, Boo. We do have a few stories. Can't tell them on air.
No, it's just funny that you say that. It always brings me to laugh, because, you know, it's so true. Like, your first couple of years traveling, there's so many stories. There are so many things that tend to happen to you. Like, I literally got everything stolen from me, I reckon, the first year I ever travelled overseas.
You threw the bag out the train door. What do you expect?
So, you know, I have to laugh at all those sorts of stories for sure.
Oh, we've all done some ridiculous things. I remember as juniors, Sam had twisted her ankle. We're at the tournaments in Italy, and nobody had ankle tape. So I go, oh, let's just ask that guy down there who can't speak English. I learned a few words of Italian in primary school, if you'll drive us to the closest farmacia. And she's like, okay. So off we went. We got in this guy's car and got the ankle tape, and thankfully made it back alive. But
oh my goodness,
you do some crazy things on the road. Alana, it's just an absolute pleasure to have you on here and see your face and seeing you do so well with your tennis. I know it's an unprecedented time. COVID's a really tough space to navigate. If we do get back to playing, what are you looking to achieve in the next 12 to 18 months?
Yeah, I guess it's all dependent as what tournaments can go on. But I really in the next 12 months I'm just wanting to continue my form, and my singles ranking is sitting at 600 now, and I'd really want that to get down and enable me to play some more WTA events, and so that's I guess the big goal for me, and targeting the Australian Open. I think it's a really good opportunity for us in Australia that we have a Grand Slam in our backyard and having the wildcard playoff. And I always I played it for the first time last year, and it's I guess a really big opportunity for us to get a chance, and I often believe too that it just takes that one good run and you get that confidence and you're off your way. And I've seen a lot of players do it, and so for me the next 12-18 months, that's where I want to be, and playing the WTAs and trying to get into qualies of slams and stuff, and go from there, I guess.
Great goal. In closing, I guess I just want to say thank you so much for coming on, and it's been it's been awesome to see your face again, and it's been a while, and I've learned actually more about you today. And I'm sorry I never asked you some of these questions before, but it's been really insightful to get to know your journey and understand that not everybody comes from the same path. And I think everyone has a different way of getting to where they are. And I just want to congratulate you on such an awesome year. And you're always fantastic to speak to and have on for us today. So thank you again for giving up your time.
No worries. Yeah, thanks. It's been really, really good. And a bit of a laugh. So thanks, guys.
See you, Alana.
See you, Alana.